good. This is the coolest microphone I've ever been to. All right, welcome everyone. I'm having severe allergies right now that are messing up my eardrums, so I don't know how loud I am right now. Hopefully you can all hear me. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. And also a huge thank you to Jason and the Brooklyn Poets staff for hosting us this evening. My name is Amali and I'm the events director for Lips Are Magic, which, if you don't know, is an independent bookstore just down the block from here. So tonight's event is a glorious amalgamation of various literary circles here in Brooklyn, so you're all in for a treat. It is my privilege tonight to introduce Ashna Ali and oh my gosh, I already messed this up. Bex Frankenberger, Max Kruger-Dull, Sarah Lynn Rogers, Jason Zuzga, and of course the poet of the hour, Michael Chang, who joined us tonight celebrate with an evening of readings Michael's latest poetry collection, Synthetic Jungle. I have many bios to get through, so I'm going to try to do this quickly. I'm going to be introducing the poets in the order in which they will appear, and they're all going to read, and then we're all going to celebrate and drink wine and buy books. So first up tonight, we are going to have Jason, whose nonfiction book, Uncanny World, about the strangeness of nature documentary, is forthcoming from Punctum Books. He's also the author of the book of poetry Heatwave and is editorial co-director of Fence. Next, after Jason, we will have Michael Chang, who is the author of several collections of poetry, including Boyfriend Perspective and Almanac of Useless Talents. They were awarded the Poetry Project's prestigious Brandon Prize in 2021. Tapped to edit Lambda Literary's Emerge anthology, they serve as a poetry editor at the acclaimed journal Fence. Third reader tonight will be Ashna Ali, who is the Best of the Net nominated queer and disabled diasporic Bangladeshi poet, writer, and editor based here in Brooklyn. They are the author of the chapbook, The Relativity of Looking Well, and hold a PhD in comparative literature from the Graduate Center, City's University of New York. After Ashna, we have M, who is a trans poet and writer currently based also here in Brooklyn and is from Salt Lake City, Utah. M was shortlisted for the 2023 Penrose Poetry Prize, and their work has been featured in Death Ratty Literary, The Canticle, Pan Press, and beyond. All right. Fifth, we have Max Kruger-Dull, whose recent work has appeared or is forthcoming in Agni, Literature Magazine, Quarterly West, Hunger Mountain Review, and others. He lives here in New York with his boyfriend and 2 dogs. Sixth, we have Bex Frankenberger, who is a writer and musician, also based in Brooklyn. They hold an MFA from Pratt Institute, and you can/should buy their chapbooks, Are You a Bird? And Rot Party at Books Are Magic, because they also work as a bookseller there. And lastly, to round out the night, we have Sarah Lynn Rogers, who has edited several books for Soft Skull Press, and is series co-editor for the anthology Best Debut Short Stories, the PEN American Dow Prize. She is the author of the chapbooks Inevitable What, and autocorrect suggests Tithe. Okay. She is the author, I already read that, and the Catapult column, Internet as Intimacy. All right, thank you for bearing with me through all of that. We're going to bring Jason up to the third. We're all giving a warm welcome. Back to the curtains, everyone. You make it official.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jason, and I think I've come the longest for this event from Exit 4 off the Jersey Turnpike. And just read 5 poems, a couple from my book, and 2 new ones. So One thing you need to know for this first poem is there's an extinct animal called a Steller's sea cow, which used to live in abundance around the Aleutian Islands. And it was about as big from one wall to the other wall, like a gigantic ocean-going manatee. And then they were discovered, and within like 2 years, they were extinct. Extinction narrative. So this is what it feels like to be crowded into the body of a stellar sea cow. It's moving along the tidal rocks, munching on sea lettuce, the color of absinthe, chartreuse. You were shifting next to me, trying to get comfortable. Even though this extinct body is 8 meters long, it's a tight fit for 2 homosexuals. The skin is so thick that the icy waters of the Bering Sea don't register at all. I feel the warm flesh on my face. I can feel your arm around me. I can feel thumps echo from the other sea cows, nuzzling ours. Here come those intrepid explorers. Let us be pointless. Okay, so continuing with the nautical theme, there was a comic strip for a long time drawn by Winsor McCay in the early decades of the 20th century, and it was called Little Nemo. And in every comic strip, Little Nemo would have some sort of dream in which he was kind of chased by like a 10-story tall turkey or other exploits. So this one is called Little Nemo Scientist. At the bottom of the sea, Little Nemo wakes alone. Oh, at the end of every comic strip, he would have fallen out of bed, and like you would see like his mother peeking into his bedroom saying like, you shouldn't have eaten that like that meat pie. All right, at the bottom of the sea, Little Nemo wakes alone, fallen out of bed by the edge of his hydrothermal vent. He clicks on the remote-controlled spotlight. He counts the giant tube worms, bowing forward, bending back. They are all there. Back to sleep, and in Nemo's dream, there is a cartoon caboose that seems to breathe. An evil coelacanth is running for president and campaigns across the plains. This once extinct fish throws wrapped gels to the screaming crowd. All of this is more or less in black and white, except for the guy wearing a pink tank top. Nemo identifies with him. Water pours from his mouth. Nemo wakes from his dream and finds himself again fallen out of bed 5 miles beneath the clapping waves. He clicks on the remote-controlled spotlight. He counts the giant tube worms bending forward, bending back. They're all there. These worms have no anuses. His robot arm slides open to their giant lipstick length. Okay, and third poem, last one from this book, is it was made, I was at Writing Colony, and I found 3 people who didn't know how butter was made or where it came from. They just thought it emerged from the goodness of the earth. So I gave them all jars, like glass jars, and poured heavy cream into them, and then we put on music, and I just said, just start shaking. So this is a This is so I took a video of them as they were doing it, which I have as well. And this is exactly what they said, just from the video. Making butter. Is this too much? I think it might be easier to shake if you don't have too much. We're going to give a little bit to Eric here. Now we're going to make some butter. We're going to start shaking it. Do we have any faster music? We need faster music, faster music. This is a workout. I don't feel anything anymore. Now, no, it's not done yet. It's whipped cream. Don't do that. Wait, can we put on faster music? It's getting heavy. Oh, I got the trick now. This feels really obscene. 0 to nothing. I'm starting to feel it. Should we test it? Oh my God. Almost butter. Oh my God. Oh my God. It works. It's not butter yet. It's still whipped cream. Is it butter yet? No. This is getting in the... Thank you. This is getting in the way. There's water leaking out. It's hard now, and the liquid is coming out. Now it's getting into a solid. I need a plastic bag. It's like a solid. It's flipping up and down. Oh my God, weird. Wow. This is what it actually... Oh my God. Oh my God. We made butter. Mine is really slippery. You have to have this milky stuff. We made butter. Okay, I'm just going to read one more. This is called You Were a Treehouse. You were a treehouse with cold pots of noodles and a rucksack and a train mitt and a pink slip and a rough-hewn choir where I climbed into your face and into your tummy and into your legs. There are all kinds of arms in your legs, all kinds of hands that swashbuckle and swing through the forest of letters. This is a terrible image, and is a fine film of fuzzes. Under these, all undulant with their probing parts, the want to get into you. Some word for cock tease, weasel tail, habitrail. I scratch your mounted face and put in a ghost hack, a recollection of the lake waves leaping like tusks. Our camaraderie that rolled on the side of the road, with part of its skin peeled back by what lamprey or what mountain lion. How there on that raw meadow we declared that the future was gathering in the words we floated out aflame on top of the lake. The gnawing of privilege we deployed upon the teeth. We thanked the vultures. We thrust our faces head in under their rib cage and bit pieces as the bison moaned. I grabbed at your ankles, but I remained more or less content beneath the bridge. I mean, there I made a home. And did I love the bridge as if it was my wife? I did, as if it was my life. And that's when the goats began to fall into my hands, like humiliation secretions that drool and drizzle from the rafters. I don't know even what to say or how one might develop a self into a character with lines that sound normal, that offer the solemn toasts. The apartment in another country, a country racked with strife, and there the real people die, yet all still placed within these tubes. Who can argue? Dogs with raw mind matter. It didn't matter. I saw you, and I saw everything you did when you thought no one was looking. And so the boy beside himself imagines the swingers swinging. What if I climb up there? Then I may fall. Imagine there's a ball in an empty barn, and a century later, I have phoned with empathy offered as a neck, tailing fires, the horses swinging, all those extra spines that some beauty carries into the bargain. Bundles without a seem to care as the ever-present weight, forgotten, fuses like some sneaky weeds to the lonely quiver heaps of what had been the witness couplings, the fair completions, the trickster's jump rope by the swing set. She slipped it from her velvet pouch. The doe's hope cordial, steamed and swirled with horses weep from within the darkness of a horse. Then the lemur girl walked among us, hand over hand through the ashes, moistening with her calibrated dropper, all the blinded, lonely brains. Thank you.
What Jason didn't tell you is he hasn't read for 7 years, so it's like getting Cher out of retirement. I have like maybe 7, I don't know. I wrote this yesterday, literally. It's called Hope That's True. The butterfly dog owner refused to leave Manhattan, where it resides like hope or a splinter of soap too old for poetry readings. With Tucker no longer on the air, possessing the virility of Mary Jo Salter, I think about Madonna and Die Another Day fencing scene, the scorpion lifting its lance, Chang and Chen slaughtering an albino deer, the convener of Bullet and Dance, the poet I shouting action, transmitting your missives as the construction worker whips his head around for quality assurance. He's Whitman's type. They're now an item of equal or lesser value, the banality of evil being a portrait of domestic bliss. You come to my event to fuck me. Roll under the garage door as it's coming down for a moment, feeling that anything's possible, how Anne Frank would have been a believer. And your body beneath all those clothes, the color of my skin being important to everyone but me. This is called Houdini. Pence referring to Trump as his former running mate is like Nick Cannon calling Mariah one of his exes. The man whose head screwed on sideways real fit somebody else's heirlooms. The revised wedding vows over there, a sleazy sort of enchantment, ocean of mirror balls and velvet jumpsuits. It is in some respects about homos. I believe it was the homo who said he was incapable of cutting down, but stopping would actually be possible. How reductive. Hide a penny under his tongue, make the taste more palatable. Nipples glistening, you ain't fuck me, you fuck the old body. Golden raisins that ain't no longer me. Time turns into a fiction, believing these stories about God, slumming it at the Hey Adams. That's how you know I'm a native. That hyphen. A good listener, Alice claims I sing to love singing. I caught you murmuring just to say something. Well, I seem to have misplaced my charger. Don't know much, but my name isn't Alice Nancy. This is called New National Anthem. When I awoke in that hotel room, Meg Ryan was unrecognizable. You were sucking on my toes. The boy with soft leg hair and contour butt was no longer the front runner for student council president. In a manner of speaking, he was making moves the way a dump truck backs up. She faked her birthday to get in club, only to change it again to stay on her mom's insurance. Pointing to her wounds after I eviscerated her outfit and dye job, I did not offer comment on the obit, despite a long backlog of lines from Yogi Berra, the jock with the fiery farts. Misquoting me, was stabbed selling counterfeit Basquiat's, and later killed by friendly fire, but not before thoroughly examining my insides like a brute outside city lights. He showed me his poems, which were actually quite good, mostly concerning Flap of Boxer. I had no idea they knew each other. This is called Faith. Stay in my life, you're much too broke to be paying for sex. Truthfully, I've wasted too much on wave emojis and trips to the salon. As the savage Manx said, gaslight gatekeep girl boss, she is a delusional lightweight. He has always treated his whores kindly. It takes one to know one. I'm not upset, you're upset. When Ed Sheeran threatened to quit music if he lost his copyright trial, the jury decided wrongly. Free me from this herd of simpletons. I could go anywhere just knowing that you love me. He and I, we know our place behind the tortoise. Projecting my chats over the Washington Square arc. It's 2 years ago, the chats are heartless. We love in a way that seems final. This is called Blue Tint. White lady complimenting my houndstooth coat, shamelessly comparing it to her mother's. I pull my coat closer, tell her I am your mother. Lecture her on voting rights, how never to put rat-a-tat-tat in a poem. You start flinging pearls at her, no great loss for swine. You're riding too high to care, we build a fence to keep out bad poets' opinions on every RoboCop remake. I find a scrum of rugby players eager to fill you with knowledge. The thinnest skinned man on Park Avenue stretching out the crotch of teal lingerie a hussy ordered online, distracted by the hiss of Subway, thinking it was seafoam. Maybe two more. I'm also texting, so bear with me. This is called Wonderland Coup. In terms of marrying outside the faith, it is permitted. Speaker tenses reach into your Under Armour, alt-right Catholic schoolgirl. There is no fear, only Wendy with the pigtails. Chipmunk Paul thinks boys in shorts will be the death of me. I'm sure we'll meet again. The male Heather was extremely professional. I am the one who is Demi Lovato. A mouth for life, my muse immense and powerful. Your body opens like the bay I have to celebrate. I got caught up, completed some shit. I got caught up, more unfinished business. Do I raise plow or attempt a tenka? It was big then. One more. This is called Without Protection. Summer is the most New York of seasons. It is also the stinkiest. Like a white dom after a poke bowl. I can't explain this odd feeling of being so close to you, yet more apart than ever before. To you I say release your seed. To the woman entering the liquor store I say you need it, honey. I suppose it is a matter of distance, a plum diplomatic posting, England or France. I can't bear to look out the window, which has an unimpeded view of downtown, a straight shot. I associate you with downtown because you're young and hot, although I myself lived in the village for several years. The time we wasted could have been spent answering the questions of 1,000 children, coyotes howling across the valley, or Frank's quip about how someone who didn't like him could say, sure, all you can do is show him Larry Rivers or the sea, and out comes a poem. And I think about its application to us, if there is indeed an us, and we live in a world where that is still possible. All you have to do is show me your name and out comes a poem. Ultimately, what it boils down to is this: when it comes to you, I have always been selfless.
All right, sweet. I did something objectively insane this year, and I did 2 consecutive 30-30s. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what that is when you write 30 poems in 30 days. Needless to say, by day 50, I was insane. All of the poems I am reading tonight, and there's 4 of them, were produced during that time. I've never read any of them in public before. Woo! The first is called Still Life with Tamales. In Mexico City, I eat street-side tamales while my mother buries my cousin in Furitpur. I grieve youth as she celebrates a wedding in Dhaka. I stop at a sanctuary, watch a python's slow choke on the tiniest of mice. A girl's recorded voice boasts mattresses and microwaves over continuous barking. I make no friends. I miss the car to the hot air balloon, but spend the morning painting puffin feathers violet and emerald. Realism eroded so long ago. New York's grimace still tenses my lumbar. I do not talk about how this is longer than I was expected to live. Pairs on dates meet wine glasses by moonlight as my body becomes a hoax. I steal time with reckless men, needless accomplice to their impulses. Yes, I know there are other ways, but this light is so lustrous, it rephrases possibility with confidence too great. I don't know which one of us, me or this city, is lying. I choose a ring of assorted stones as a reminder of these phantasms, the names I have yet to give them. My mother calls to say, "Don't you feel better now in the sunshine? You look so beautiful." This next one is Ramadan Millennium Lunch Poem after Frank O'Hara. I suppose I can do the thing. So this was written during Ramadan and Easter and spring and all of the things. It's 4:15 on Good Friday at the Yemeni Bodega on Church Avenue. I'm getting a chicken pesto on a roll. They're blasting surahs on TV. Everyone's too anxious to get to iftar to offer me a husband who will give me my faith back, which is good because I'm in a rush to put Chelsea on a plane to Guadalajara. We're back to big dreams, Chelsea and I. Like this time, the nerds get to write the heist movie, save all of our friends before AI comes alive and everything collapses. But all I can do right now is eat my sandwich and drink my orange Gatorade to Seinfeld, thinking about how I, too, will age badly, and how before this morning's black-blazered scheming, I woke up with feelings, because White Mike cabbed it in the middle of the night from the north of Prospect Park all the way to my stoop on East 2nd Street in the rain, so we could circle unsayables over Modelo's and Mezcal, like we didn't have to live out a chain of morning Zoom rooms, same way we pretend not to at Barlow and Rialto Grande with Depeche and Evan and Noé, or that time at Shenanigans when he almost got me killed by a drunk Islamophobic cop in a kilt on St. Patrick's Day weekend, rushed me laughing to dance at Sycamore in the rain. Apparently it's always raining for Mike and me. What can I say? It's been so long since the warmth. And even when it comes, the whole lot of us are only just working toward hope. And Mike and I, well, ain't either of us about to say shit to anyone or, stop. This one's called Bad Education, after Allison C. Rollins. I just wanted to be good, and learned that to be good one has to learn, and learning comes from books. The way to be good is also to be good according to God, they said, and to find God, one has to read God's book. My Nanu loved God's book. She recited his poetry to herself 5 times a day, even late at night, but would not tell me what it means. I bled suddenly, copiously in her bed. Eyes wide, she ran to find my mother. She would not tell me what it means, this secret, sacred death petaling her sheets. So I thought God might speak to me. I pulled down the book, sought refuge in calligraphy's curvature, until Nanu returned and knuckled blood into my mouth, too. This is how I first learned that I am dirty. I just wanted to be good, and learn that to be good is to be easy. To be easy is to curl, bend, stretch, duck, shrink, magic into a petal, and never speak. Never take, but lay myself out on the grass like a picnic blanket to protect everyone's knees. Absorb spills, insulate against the earth. But I am brittle, and I broke. I spoke, and I need, and need, and need. I never stop being hungry, and I cannot help but be loud. It hurts. This is how I learned that I am ungrateful. All I ever do is write about love, listen to pop songs like a schoolgirl long after I start teaching schoolgirls who do not. I'm no crooner, but I see where Swifties miss the point. To you who are reading me, all you see is the lovers. They have no names, marching through my pages like toy soldiers. You don't understand. I love them. All of them, individually. Even in all of their horror and spite, even with their hands to my throat, even thin-hearted and seething, I wrap my arms around all of them and hold their stories close. This is how I learned that I am gluttonous and bad at learning. And this last one is for anybody who also suffers from chronic pain, and it's called These Particular Multitudes. A day I wake up overwhelmed by love. Neuropathy numbs my hands, floods my hip with needles. A day I walk in the sun humming, hug my colleague's bug-eyed dog. I sink to the tub floor weeping with tachycardia. A day I flirt text with a friend who sways me to pop ballads, eat cake, sing into my concealer tube. I cancel my calls, dim the lights, give up on flexing my forearms. First, I was born with a girl body. Then it was stolen. I was convinced I lived there on accident, renting it from the rightful and their tyranny. It churned rage in the basement until it seeped into the walls, fungal, rhizomatic. That's when they handed it back to me, a problem never theirs. This one lives so many kinds of life. I am a thespian by day. By night, a neon organ, pulsing, all its nerves turned out. Almost everyone can dance, sometimes. But me? I can cyclone into flame at a moment's notice, sprout new heads like lusty nightshades after dark. See, I have skin that talks. Who can say that? Who says it's not some kind of better, living with my insides on the outside, looking in? Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Yes? Okay. Sorry. My name is Em. I'm going to read 3 poems. The first one is called Pinocchio. I can only imagine the rocking at sea, sectioning an incision across your belly. One could say carve. Everyone's so glad to see my soft face held against your chest, yet my first swollen wound landed as an F on the ID band. I wonder who was hoping for a girl, if they're happy. Now you recall my obsession, my plea to be a real boy. I don't remember wooden acting, but I do remember being swallowed whole. How long did you let me live in Monster's belly? I promised myself so much me was not wrapped up in grief. I could feel krill lapping tidily over my toes, sun falling through blowhole. You reeled my girlhood to an opened mouth, through baleen cracks, oblate and spheroid. You once asked, who is going to love you like this? I settled it over skin, sunk in as, should I love you outside this? Consider how to take mothering away, as I witness losing her body to methane. Breast bruised, knees braided, absorbing sun's heat. I relay declarations for wailing together, earnest, and we settle for a horizon past tomorrow. Which of us was saved to be out here? Look and look and look at that wet sand, this worn body, well draining, covered in wood. And then the second poem is called To the Ever-Loving God, Please Give My Chest Some Feeling Back. I know, everyone was reading, I was like, damn, I think my poetry's like really sad. Yeah. Okay, so pre-surgery, I should have taken more time to memorize before my loss. You studied me more than I ever did, felt me, tasted me, closed your eyes, and whispered against my skin. Instead, I took a photo right before surgery in the curtained room, halfway between nakedness and gown, shirt held and bunched around my shoulders like I had just uninvolved myself from the date and had just remembered I would be bifurcated in fluorescent light. I threw up the day before. I couldn't believe it was finally happening to me, of all people, that my loss would be finally realized, this measure of growth so consequential. I didn't say anything to you or Dad, laid in the wet grass outside, counted on my fingers, and listened to you catch up, sitting across the kitchen table. How to say, Dyke almost doesn't give up his two simple pleasures. How to translate, man was nervous before surgery. So nervous, I shook on the table. They gave me something and I started laughing so much they started laughing with me. The last thing I remember. Post-surgery, how to relearn the simplicities of my body, simple steps of tending. I wonder who sliced first, if anyone recorded it like they do when a woman gives birth to a whole new person. Who was doing the watching? I can look distantly in the mirror and imagine us together, your body caressing that new flat spot and feeling taut. To fall into an imprint of touch, to relive, echo the past. How sacred it was, how gentle and loose and slack. Now numb and raw, blue bruise covered over and so tight. Learning to pose, to witness something fall into place, even as my nipples are crusted, healing in spots. To be so swollen and compacted and still overflowing with green. Let me think of the grass, the open air, the shower water, washing again and again over a new healing body, and you rubbing my back where I can't reach. How to say, Dyke body sewn together. How to translate the blues of going through major surgery. And then the last poem I'm gonna read is called Earth's Shortest Day. So like the little epigraph I put is kind of explaining it, but the length of day on an average is around 86,400 seconds, which is around 24 hours. And then on July 29th, 2022, scientists recorded the shortest rotation of the year, which was around 1.59 milliseconds faster, which isn't a lot, but people record stuff like that, so. This spinning is speculated to be in part by glacial, isostatic movement and because of the redistribution of water due to glacier melt. So the poem is, oh, in waking next to you, I find your hand curled and another cupping my face. You basking with warmth and me always sweating, curling into shadowed linen. On Earth's shortest day, we held our longest breath with quick bursting light pouring into every spot. Let me rope in more color, scatter seed to cocoon. Let me whisper a spiral sprouting, so soft. As you teach my hand to rest gently on your chest, this balm, a radiant bloom, blissed across skin is wrapped, ready, flowering open as your mouth. What does together contain? What consumes, settles, brims earnest and open and golden? Do we look like time means anything at all? That's it.
Does that work? Is that okay? So first I want to say that I've known Michael for a year now, and I'm excited to read tonight to honor their new poetry collection. So this piece was published earlier in this year in Oxford Magazine, and the structure of it, it's a little short scene followed by a series of notes, so I'll read the scene in like half the notes or something. Money from the slick man. At the slick man's apartment, I had a $50 bill taped to my forehead. This was after the bill was safe in my hand and before the bill was folded into my mouth. The slick man, a heavy-set, theatrical man, a gray-eyed septuagenarian, used double-sided tape to stick the bill to my forehead, which was after he asked me to put my phone in his pocket and before he asked for my phone's passcode. The tape smelled like soap, or the money did, and I decided to use the $50 for a new doorknob after he told me to be prepared for a fucking, and before he told me this is the only money you'll be getting out of me. Notes. 1. While reflecting on this experience, it's important to know why I think of him as a slick man. He is slick because of his ability to nudge a part of me, my hip, my nose, and guide us into the ideal position for whatever moment he wanted us to have. Usually positionings were my job. 2. Remember, I made a mistake when dealing with the slick man. I had the $50 bill safe in my hand. For that, I did harmless things. But then he behaved as if I hadn't earned the 50, and I felt as if I hadn't earned the 50. For the 50, I'd only done harmless things. So he asked if I wanted to really earn the money, and to be amenable, I said sure. I suppose what came then was harmless too. 3. I was surprised by the nimbleness of this 70-year-old man, but he was also surprised by me. I was taller than he expected, he said, more smiley than he expected. He told me I was less talkative than the average whore. 4. When I was young, it was cool to care about money. After that, it was gauche, and now it is cool again. 5. I will buy a doorknob for my bedroom with the $50. The doorknob I like is square, flat, modern-looking, and sharp. For aesthetic reasons only, I appreciate doorknobs with sharp edges. My glass doorknob fell off just before I met the slick man. For months, I'd been having sex with a loud man, $300 a session. Volume was his main kink. He loved when I screamed and loved to scream at me. He'd make resonant noises with his flesh against mine, as if he were practicing to record an album. Whenever he walked into my bedroom, he slammed the door to scare me. We laughed like friends when the glass doorknob fell off, producing the loudest thud. Then he asked me to be scared again. 6. The slick man taped the bill to my forehead to embarrass me, and then stuffed the bill into my mouth for the same purpose, but I don't get embarrassed easily. Nothing could be more humiliating than the day I lost my favorite gold pencil in 2nd grade. I wailed and made the class look for it on the floor and then in the hallway, and accused the teacher of stealing my pencil because I scored poorly on a spelling test. 7. I am getting better at acting embarrassed. I can make my face turn red without cause. In general, men come to me when they want someone to blush or cry or shiver at their provocations. If a man puts his hand on my neck, I know how to tint my gaze with fear, as is my niche. The real challenge when playing scared is restraint. Overacting kills all boners, a friend told me. Lately, I've been practicing my expressions of gratitude. A presumptuous client said those will take me far. 8. Providing a service is an unappealing concept to me. When I think of my work that way, I feel part of such a strict, dull world. But I do provide a service, sometimes of great value, sometimes of negligible importance. In school, we were taught to work hard for $1. We were told, money won't come easy to you. I sometimes confuse that to mean money shouldn't come easy. Perhaps that is why I didn't leave his apartment when the 50 was safe in my hand. 9. When he put the $50 in my mouth, I knew it was the bill, not the tape, that it smelled like soap. I held my mouth open so all the spit would dry out and the bill wouldn't get too damp. I curled my tongue back toward my throat to minimize the germs and taste. He was pleased by my discomfort. But then he fucked me on my stomach, and his force made the 50 tumble out of my mouth. It rolled to somewhere on the floor I couldn't see. So I reached over the side of the bed and felt around for the money. In the stiff position he had me pinned, I could only make vague, sweeping arm movements. There was a blanket on the floor. I rifled through its folds. I shook it out. You move too much, the slick man said, though he was moving more than I was. I slipped out of my meekness and said, you made me lose my money. Then I slipped my meekness back on again. Thank you.
The first is from my chapbook called Rock Party, which is definitely available here. Oh my god, thank you, I'm so short. I'm average height. So I went about translating Sophocles' Antigone, which if you don't remember is a book you read in high school. It's ancient Greek, so everyone dies. The context for Antigone is that it's about the children of Oedipus. His two sons kill each other during a war for the throne, and one of them is granted a proper burial, and the other one is left to rot in the dirt. And his daughters, Antigone is Mimi. Well, Antigone decides, fuck the law, I didn't give context. The two brothers kill each other, and then one is granted burial, one is not granted burial. I practice this. Antigone's like, no, I'm gonna bury my brother, going against the law, and she's sentenced to death, and people try to save her. It doesn't work. Everyone dies. So I went about translating it, and then I also made memory translations, which is literally you think about what you're translating, and then you translate it. So a lot of these people have just said to me, and I said, that's Antigone. So it's 100 one-sentence translations. I'm going to read not all of them. It's occurred to me you might have a death wish. Whores, sluts, slag, slime, tarts, tramps, dirt, the lot of them. The only two things I want for my birthday are a magic 8-ball and a drone. The teens are everywhere these days. Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch. No, I'm quite dead now. Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? His fatal mistake was using one hand to hold on to power and the other to hold on to his dick. Just kill the shrill one. Will you join me at the rot party? You don't have to be such a boy about these things. I can't say I see myself building a life with you. Someone said that to me on a second date. So you could say I have a muse. She's not watching this. No more crouching, no more sobbing, let's hit it. My 10-year plan is to legislate, adjudicate, optimize, capitalize, and fuck. There isn't anywhere I want to go without him. Only dirt can hold my grief. My real dream is to live in the desert, far away from this, and when I fall asleep, my family approaches slowly and quietly, and their skin is clean, their hair shiny, all their teeth sturdy and strong, and when I wake, they say, hello, we have been waiting. So that's Rap Party. I'm gonna read one more poem. Both of these are dedicated to my sister, who is watching, and she knew about the first one, but she doesn't know about the second one. Sorry. This is called There Are Many Songs Called Our House, and I love exactly one. My sister and I, being very small, shared a common enemy, and that enemy was our parents. And my sister and I, being very small, shared a common shrine, and that shrine was our parents. And this is what they call setting the scene. We always said we would live next to each other when we grew up. We would live in big mansions on the same block, and each floor would have an escalator, and one floor that was just closet space. There'd be a secret entrance to the closets, some underground tunnel, so that when she wanted to borrow my clothes, and when I wanted to borrow hers, we could sneak across the tunnel or the skyway or moat directly into the other's home and take what was needed. I would not say that back then we understood architecture. And I would also not say that we really understand it now that we live together again in this apartment, and now that we are not very small. We understand that there is such a thing as a load-bearing wall, but we do not know which wall it is. I think this is something we should know. We like to go on walks and name the lindens and sycamores and horse chestnuts. Sometimes we catch a robin or a cardinal, and once even a mockingbird, but that was only by sound. We never identified the bird that shat on my arm. Too busy amazed at its warmth. Amazed that we never thought of it before, sliding it across the bark of a dogwood, and shaking a few petals to the ground. It is this apartment I will miss. It is in this apartment, with its load-bearing walls, that we break bread and hang art in frames. We have a knife block and 2 couches and 8 bookshelves. This is where the dog died. Every time I try to write past that line, all I can think is this is where the dog died. I said I would leave when that happened, that I couldn't imagine staying in this place without her. Yet I stayed and stayed, stayed and stayed, stayed. Walking home from the co-op, a stranger asks me about the dog. Walking through the neighborhood on Halloween, and someone yells from their porch, "Great costumes, you look just like teenagers." I am the spitting image of my mother, but we don't know what my sister will look like when she grows old. I keep hearing people say that they and their friends are like sisters. I want to understand why everyone seems to think that a word being what it is isn't enough. Why a sister can't just be a sister, and a friend can't just be a friend. I have friends, and I have my sister. And the main difference is the one between our enemies, and the other main difference is the one between our shrines. I have a sister, and we share a common enemy, and that enemy is having to leave. We share a shrine, and that shrine is to our dead dog. That shrine is still to our parents. That shrine is living in this grayscale town and not waiting for the sun. Eventually, when I move, we will point to the load-bearing wall. It will only be a guess. Thank you.
Can you hear me? In my tall shoes, try not to hunch over. I'm Sarah. I have chapbooks here tonight, but I'm reading poems from a new full-length collection, so sorry. And the collection's called Cosmic Tantrum. Here's the first one. Local beast, time travels, body swaps through glitch and matrix. To lap at the sweet nectar of a punctured Stretch Armstrong, I wear a beinghood less mutable. Now I am the second-born, a magic trickster. Now you see me, too spirited. An only child if born first, they report, as though being beast-like voids the contract of existence. Poof! No more tantrums over toppled cup stacks, ruined homes of cards. My audience vacillates through wrath, often wrapped. I raise the blanket to the air and disappear. Local beast, kind of a little bitch, actually. In the game of psychic supplicant, nobody ever wins. The little god laughs to see such sport, asks the human, what'll it be, but knows the usual. Which unasked questions this time, and which blames? Something about the icebox, whose turn to buy the plums again. The god part sees the mirrors, how the human chooses this, to be small and seething at the pouting boy king, on high atop his private narrative, so resourced and so butthurt. What is the bird in Charlie Brown's name? Sympathy for Charlie, a mere child, who understandably stress-lost all his hair. In his world, a voice of reason is a plunger-muted trumpet, and trust as a choice knocks him flat on his back every time. Ha, 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 ha. What is the bird in Charlie Brown's name? Someone asks, taking liberties with syntax. They want Woodstock, but have blown this thing wide open. Little creature hiding in the phonemes, I know you now, a counterweight to Og. Only Charlie sees you in his third eye when they sound him like complaint. Here's the title poem, Cosmic Tantrum. My psychic says my anger about this is outsized, but have you ever clenched your soul into a fist? Some of us plummet down every, oh well, like a spell. I can too do this thankless task. Saturn, I misunderstood the ask. Can always pull 1,000 patterned kerchiefs from a pocket of rage, quiet and competent. Yes, enjoy the sleeve bouquet. I already sent that fucking email. It is true the great wolf Fenrir held still as the gods bound him. A very good boy. Flick of tail, gleam of teeth everyone feared, until they didn't. You made us do this to you, say the gods of old, of capital, dysfunction. What are boundaries to a tool? How can the shadow speak of personhood? Saturn, I wanted to return me, felt my core collapse. Chaos in orbit around nothing. But this black hole isn't empty. Someone vibrates near the center, a dense reactive knot. Hello, I call to her. I lower kerchiefs, siphoning from the gods my lowly magic. Thank you.
That is it for tonight. Let's all give the poets one more round of applause. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We really get to do evenings like these of poetry readings so rarely, so that makes them all the more special to me. Thank you to Michael, wherever they are, for celebrating Synthetic Jungle with us, and for just helping us put together this wonderful evening. And of course, thank you to all the other poets who joined us tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being here and filling this beautiful space with your bodies. As I mentioned earlier, we've got Michael's and Ashna's and Bex's and Sarah's books available right over there. So Bex and I are going to stick around for another 10 minutes or so please come over and take a look at those books. Otherwise, Michael will be around to sign books, I believe. The other folks will be around to hang out. So yeah, let's just read some poetry and drink some wine and have a good night. Thank you, everyone.